Today I'm reacting to season 2 of Bridgerton and what the problem is with Anthony.
Father? What is it?
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh. What? Help us, someone!
Oh my gosh. So clearly, very straight out here, the problem with Anthony is that his father died when he was really young in a very traumatic way. He's been stung by a bee and he's choking out there, and Anthony is panicked. It's so clear that he's really finding that just so traumatic.
Edmund, do not.
Look at how he's freezing up. He doesn't know what to do.
The other children, they cannot see me. Anthony, go!
Oh my gosh. So there he is, just struggling with the inability to do anything. He's completely powerless in this situation. Within a matter of minutes, his father goes from, joking and giving him good advice to being dead in his mother's arms. That is a massive trauma in a person's life. But the problem with this, what really makes it trauma, is that he feels so powerless. We've talked about this before. If you go through a trauma, but you feel like there's something you can do, that's when it's not as traumatic for you. In that incident when there was this people in the caves, it was the person who felt like they took charge that didn't actually get traumatized, whereas the other people did. In this case, he's not feeling like there's anything he can do, and he's shutting down, he's panicking, and that and what those messages he's going to get about himself and about his world from that is going to be what's fueling his problems.
I feel even sorrier for myself because most of the time all I am thinking is that this little baby did not do me the kindness of killing me so that I could be with my husband.
Oh man.
Edmund was the air that I breathed. Now there is no air.
Oh, there's one thing to lose your parent, but then to see his mother going through that grief, that pain, her openly talking about her suicidality, like her desire for death. Maybe she's not planning it, but not wanting to be alive. That's so hard for Anthony to be hearing, especially when he seems to feel like it's his responsibility to now take charge of the family. It's understandably that would affect him. What a weight to carry as a young person.
Sacred love.
Love shall have no place in my marriage.
You cannot mean that.
I seek an amiable partner with whom I may share a pleasant life, untouched by heartbreak and the ravages of grief. I can never be the cause of such pain, no matter how cruel and hard-hearted everyone else may find me to be.
And this is the thing with trauma. It's not just about the horrible thing that happens, it's the message and the beliefs we get from it. And he clearly believes that it's love that is what caused all the grief. Because his mother and father loved each other so much, that's why she was in so much pain. And he's like, I couldn't do that to someone. I couldn't make them suffer in that way. So I'm not going to marry someone who feels that way about me. I'm going to find someone who I can get on reasonably well with. We can have a life, but if I die, they're not going to be that upset about it. And it's just meaning that when he comes across love, he has this recoil because of his experience. And it's such a sad belief to get out of that.
Is that of discontent? Do not tell me.
No, stand still,
what
damn it.
to do.
No.
Oh, wait. I'd imagine he's flashing back.
No, do not do
This is only a beat. Ow.
Are you hurt?
What?
Can you breathe?
It is only a sting, of course.
Are you certain?
My lord.
No, do not.
So he's clearly got trauma and probably PTSD from that experience watching his father die. And to see someone else be stung by a bee in around about the same place, someone he's starting to have feelings for, like you can see him panicking there. He's feeling like he doesn't have that power again. He's picturing the same thing happening, her dying. That's why he's so panicked. It's not that he's not in the moment, he's in that past situation where his father died, and that's why he's asking that question, can you breathe, and he's freaking out that he's gonna have to witness the same thing again. And she's oblivious to what's going on. She's like, what the heck? I love that. the way she responds to him. There's a little bit of like, what the heck are you doing? But then she realizes how seriously he's taking this, how terrified he is. And she is calming him. And I think this is kind of a echo of like, this is going to be a really good match, because she is able to meet him in his struggle, in his problem, and support him. Even if it's kind of scandalous how she supports him in this, that is not okay at this time, to put his hand on her bosom, like, woo! But the fact that she's willing to be outrageous to support him, I think is just such a beautiful thing.
Call the surgeon at once! Sharma, can you hear me?
My blanket, she's still shivering.
Allow me to get to work.
Is she all right?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Are you all right? It's my fault.
Oh, Anthony.
It is all my fault. Anthony. Anthony. Anthony.
It's interesting here where he's reacting differently in this situation. To start with, you can see he feels empowered that there's something he can do. So when she falls off the horse, he picks her up and he carries her, and he's empowered there. He's like, I've got to rescue her. Even in there when he's walking up the stairs, he's calling, you know, get the surgeon. He's sort of talking about the blankets. She's shivering. We've got to get blankets on her. He's really in action mode. The moment people like step back, you know, let us work, and he's back in that powerless position. There's nothing he can do now. Suddenly he starts panicking, shutting down. It's very much that shock and trauma showing up there. And again, this is the problem with trauma, is the messages we and the beliefs about ourselves. This is my fault. It's my fault that these people are getting injured and hurt and dying, and about, you know, his fault in what they did the night before and the ramifications of how she's reacted. You know, he is taking a lot of weight on this, and then there's this shame and this guilt that he's holding, and then it's interesting with that panic in this situation, he's running away. And that's an understandable thing. When people panic, they often want to just get away from the situation. I love with the filmography here, where sound kind of becomes echoey and he can't quite hear, that he's kind of spacing out. That is very reminiscent of trauma, and definitely how I've experienced trauma when I have been in those panicking situations with shut down, you can't quite hear, everything's swirling, and you're envisioning the past traumas and that sort of thing. It does seem to be what's happening to him right now.
She's awake.
Mrs. Wilson heard from one of the maids.
Phew. Oh man, this is why I have tissues. It's so clear how much he cares about her, but also that trauma of having lost his father. He has this expectation that people are just going to die on him, and so you can see the relief in his face, because his expectation was he was going to lose her, and I think that's why he didn't go see her, that he avoided seeing her, was the fear of that trauma and heartbreak. Oh my gosh. I think his mother needed to see how much this is affecting him, because I think she's been giving him a really hard time when his problem isn't that he's controlling and not taking responsibility. The problem is he takes too much responsibility and he feels so out of control that he just grasps onto any form of control he can. And it's good for her to see him vulnerably showing that he's struggling with this, and he cares about her and he doesn't want her to be hurt. And it's not that he didn't go see her because he didn't care about her. It was because he cared so much that he couldn't bring himself to see her like that.
And I would undoubtedly feel the same pain I felt all over again if I had to, because real, true love is worth it. No matter what.
He needed to hear that after the messages he had got out of what had happened with his mother and all the horrible things she went through because his father died. I think he even maybe blamed his father a bit for hurting his mum in that way. So it was so important for him to hear that her perspective was that she would go through all that pain again, if it meant that she would still have that love, because that love was worth their relationship, their family that came from it. It was worth going through the pain. Not experiencing that would be worse. And he needs to know that, otherwise he was going to throw away the opportunity to have the loving relationship that she had with his father. Oh, the shame.
Do you want to stop?
She's giving him an out.
Just keep looking at me. No one else matters.
I love how he's making a shift here. Instead of worrying about what everyone else thinks, he's realizing what's really important, and he's just like, we're just going to focus on each other and block the rest out. And I love the courage there that he's willing to lean into the scandal, the risk of loving her. It's just such a beautiful moment, and I love that the Queen, you can see this captures that she can see the love and commitment they have for each other, and how it came difficult and she's starting to realize that's why the marriage was off, but she has a heart for love because of her relationship with King George. And so I love that the Queen then steps in for them. It's just so beautiful.
I was fearful of losing you. It is why I could not visit you after your accident. I could not bring myself to. I love you.
I love that he opened up about that. Why he didn't go see her is because he cared so much about her that he couldn't bring himself to. I love that he's being willing to be vulnerable enough to actually say, I care about you, I love you, I've always loved you, and it doesn't matter what you think or like how you feel, I need you to know this. You need to at least know that I feel this way. And that saved them, saved their relationship. Finally they're talking about it. Finally he realizes where he is at and is willing to be vulnerable enough to put that out there. And it works out so well for him. I think it's great that Anthony has been able to work through this problem. I think Kate has been a massive part of him growing in this, and he needs to grow because he is the patriarch of the Bridgerton family. So he is going to be ruling the roost in the Bridgertons for the rest of the seasons, and him being a more healthy person and more well-rounded and having worked through this trauma that seems to keep getting in the way of the happiness of the rest of his family is really good. And I think that's going to make the next season really interesting, because we're going to see more of Anthony, more of Kate, and we're going to see how they interact with the rest of the Bridgertons, and especially Colin and Penelope's new blossoming relationship. Thanks for listening and watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, please comment below. We'd love to hear what your favourite Bridgerton season is. Mine was Queen Charlotte. Oh my gosh, I love Queen Charlotte. But was it number 1? Was it number 2 for you? Are you really excited about season 3? Let me know in the comments. The comments really help. That's how people see this video. If you think this is a good video and you think more people should see it, then put a comment below. Just which season your favourite is. That's all we ask that you do. That will really help us out. Really appreciate it. Okay, bye.
Nothing ever raffles you, does it?
Oh, I believe your mother would have quite a few things to say about that. You do know that you cannot show someone your best without allowing them to see your worst.